This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast, your number one source for WKU sports news and information. We are the only year-round WKU podcast, and we are the only WKU podcast that covers every single sport and every athlete at Western Kentucky University. We are a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community, and as always, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms. I always highly recommend Twitter if you're not already following us there at @topper_talk. That's where you're going to get your most relevant and up-to-date information kind of as it happens. We're going to share that out to the timeline so that you're aware. And then also head on over to our YouTube channel at Topper Talk Podcast over there. Hit that subscribe button and get notified every single time we upload an episode. We've got Tyler here as always, and we're going to jump into hopefully a good news basketball episode. I think hopefully there's some good health news coming down the pipe, and hopefully previewing a soon-to-be rivalry win, man. You ready to dive into it?
Yeah, man, let's get into it, Will.
But before we jump into the basketball talk, we have to get caught up with the Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up with all the news and information we missed since we last recorded. So, Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap-up.
All right, so we're going to be talking about some basketball right now because WKU basketball, they lost to Jax State in a slugfest. They did turn around and beat. They lost to Jax State 71-66 and beat FIU 82-70.
Yeah, obviously we'll talk about these for a little bit, just kind of how we feel about them since we're not doing a full-scale recap. Just kind of doing a quick talk about it recap. So, apparently Jacksonville State just has our number. They have beaten us, I think, 4 games in a row now. They beat us twice last year. They beat us twice this year. And Ray Harper just has our number at the moment for whatever reason. His teams play a physical style of basketball. Kind of gets under the skin of some of our players. It feels like that could be intentional. Had 2 of our players in that game that were ejected, and Terrion Murdoch's, retaliating after he got elbowed in the face. It's always the retaliation that gets punished. He took a little swing at somebody. He gets ejected. Armello Boone is getting hooked and held and decides to hip toss somebody, and he gets ejected. And then we have a player foul out. Was it Grant Newell that fouled out? I think it was. It was just an ugly, sloppy game. Jacksonville State shot 50 free throws in that ball game. And fun fact, or interesting fact, maybe not fun, not for us. We shot our last free throws of the game with 9 minutes and 40-ish seconds left in the second half. So all of a sudden they had fouled us 20 plus times in the first 30 minutes of the game. Then all of a sudden they just stopped fouling us. They just got that good at defense. They didn't foul us again. We had no free throws the last 9 minutes and 40 seconds of the game, while they took an additional 20 plus free throws and still only beat us by 5. So call it whichever way you want to call it. It was just an ugly game. Not an enjoyable game to lose to Ray Harper, the Fighting Ray Harpers. But then the FIU game, it was nice to bounce back. Still missing Teagan for both of these games. We were down at the half, and then we came out and played a second half that was, probably one of our best halves of basketball of the year. We scored 50 points in that second half, just absolutely blew the doors off of them, and en route to a 10-point victory. So really glad to see the fight and just not giving up through all the injuries and adversity and everything they've gone through this year. They're still out there playing hard, fighting, trying to win games. And now hopefully they have a week off before the MTSU game that we're going to preview later. And hopefully Teagan gets healthy. Hopefully he's back and can help us win some games. And hopefully, what we saw in the second half of FIU was a more aggressive team that drove to the basket, kicked it out to shooters more, just took better shots and had just better basketball than forcing up way too many threes, which we've seen, over the past, month or so, in my opinion. But hopefully, this time of year, you get to the middle of February, heading into March, that's when you won't be playing your best basketball. All this stuff that's happened since November is really just kind of fluff unless you're winning every single game. We need to be playing good basketball now heading to Huntsville. So hopefully that's what we see. Hopefully we're getting healthy. And we come back and take it out on MTSU. Tyler, what were your thoughts on the games last week, Jacksonville State and FIU?
Yeah, I mean, this ain't the first team that Ray Harper's had that's really last year I think their team was really physical, was really kind of in your face. I think some of our players responded last year as well, even though I don't think anyone got ejected in last year's game at Diddle. But half court Harper, he's always got to come up to the half court, talk, yell to. I mean, it was crazy to me that there was four technical fouls in the first 7 minutes. I didn't have that on a bingo card, but I also think these refs, whenever the teams are doing their starting lineups, I think these refs was hearing like John Cena's like intro into WWE. I think we need to have Coach Hank's head on Jeff Brom when he's talking about street fight between the whistles, because that's what that was. I mean, it was ugly. The refs was very inconsistent. And I'm not putting the loss on them, but geez, I mean, I think we had 30, 31, 39 fouls. Yeah, they did shoot 50 free throws. Just an ugly game. But I'm going to take away our team being tough. Now, granted, I wish we could have, retaliated a little bit smarter. Armello Boone definitely shouldn't have body slammed that guy. That was kind of funny to watch, though, but it wasn't worth him getting ejected. I just wish we could have been smarter on how we retaliated and not, got punished so much. But, LJ Hackman, he had 17 points in that game. Grant Newell had 10 before he fouled out. Blaze Cada, he's just a rebound and getting machine here lately. I think I was listening on the radio to them, and they said like he had, I think it was like 40, 45 rebounds in the last 90 minutes of gameplay. And in the FIU game, he actually had his first double here at Western. So Blaze is playing good, but man, it'd been nice to be Ray Harper this time. I wonder if the Diet Cokes got sold out in Bowling Green after, before he left. But, you go to FIU, you're right, first half, ugly shooting. We just, in the first half, 3-pointer, I can't remember how many 3-pointers we shot, but it was a lot. Total, we shot 37 in the game. We hit 13 of them, so 35%. We were 85% from the free throw line. We only got there 13 times, hit 11 of them. I like that. I do wish we'd be more aggressive sometime and driving into the lane and getting the fouls, getting the and ones. But, I think we're working on it. I think Coach said Monday, this team, or maybe it was at the post game, he said this team still ain't found their identity yet. And, you got a bunch of new players come together. It could take some time, but I do see them building towards that, and I think it is getting pretty dang good. So I'm here for it. Let's go Tops. Now, moving on, Lady Toppers basketball lost to FIU 80-54 and Missouri State 75-52.
Yeah, things are just still spiraling out of control for the Lady Toppers. We've talked about every single week just the struggles, even in out of conference play. Now that conference play started, and they're in the thick of it now. They've lost 7 games in a row, all Conference USA games. They are 5-17 overall, and they're now 1-10 in Conference USA play, sitting at the bottom of the standings. In real jeopardy of not making the trip to Huntsville, as they're only taking 10 of the 12 teams. They're not taking all 12. So the bottom two teams on both the men's and women's side will not qualify for the conference tournament. The men are middle of the pack. I don't think they're really in jeopardy of missing unless the wheels just fall off over the last few weeks here. But the women, they're going to have to scrap out some wins. And at this point, they're likely to not be favored in any games down the stretch. So they're just going to have to do a complete 180, string some wins in a row, upset some people, and hopefully make the trip and play some postseason ball. But not looking in their favor at this moment.
WKU football announced their spring practice schedule and that the red and white showcase will be on April 11th.
Yeah, it's really crazy that the spring ball schedule is literally a little over a month away. Middle of March it starts. I have it pulled up on the screen if you're watching on the YouTube video version. The schedule that was posted on Twitter, Instagram, etc. Starting on, was that March 10th? It looks like it starts and then concludes with the red and white spring showcase on April 11th. The spring game, if you want to call it by its casual name. Um, Hoping that I can go to that. I know that is the end of spring break here in Warren County. I'm not 100% sure if we're going anywhere or not, but if I'm here, I'll be there. I definitely will try to check in on the team. A few of those Saturday dates on there when they have some scrimmages and get to see some of these new guys live and in action. So really looking forward to that. Then obviously summertime workouts and then heading into fall ball, man. Um, Still ways away from actual live games being played, but this will take a little bit of the sting off of that. So really excited for spring ball.
The WKU volleyball Travis Hudson legacy campaign surpassed its 300,000 goal and currently sits at $456,000 raised.
Yeah, just what an incredible campaign that they've started. Had a really solid goal, 300,000. That's a great goal for the volleyball team, for the volleyball program, which we talk about all the time on here. Far and away our most successful program at Western Kentucky, our most successful program. All Hudson does is reload and just keeps on winning. Very fitting. He had a statue unveiled for him this past season. They put this goal out there, 300,000. They have smashed it. They're at $456,000 raised. I haven't seen any clarification on how exactly those funds are going to be used. If it's going to be for roster management or facilities or what have you, what other things it could be used for within that program. But regardless of what it's going to be used for, it's going to the right people. It's going to the right program, a program that really deserves all the support, both financially and the fan and crowd support that have been showing up to games more and more over the years. So huge accomplishment. Honestly, I hope we keep pushing that number up. Why stop there? Keep it going, and see how high we can take this thing. Throw a little money at them, and I bet Hudson can land some good players or whatever is needed to help us move to that next level of greatness with that program.
Moving on, WKU tennis, they beat University of Southern Indiana 7-0.
Yeah, went up to Evansville, USI territory, and just took care of business up there, man. 7-0 sweep. Nice to see them winning some matches. Again, we've talked about a lot of new names and faces with that team. Last week, they had a doubles team of the week within Conference USA. So nice to see them putting some nice wins together. So congratulations to those ladies.
WKU softball, they beat UNC Greensboro 6-0. Eastern Illinois 11-1. Lost to UNC Greensboro 2-4, and then beat Georgia Southern 1-0 and Eastern Illinois 2-0.
Yeah, really solid start for the softball team. Went down to Georgia Southern and had what was a tournament with all those teams that were just listed there, and had a nice 4-1 start on the season. Even though it's early February, it's cold, but it's time. The diamond sports are back. Softball's being played. Baseball starts at the end of this week, so definitely like to see them winning ball games. We know they kind of got on track last year and had a good season, so hoping they can repeat that this year. So congratulations to the Lady Topper softball team.
WKU softball, speaking of them, their pitcher, Erica Hogue, was named Conference USA Pitcher of the Week.
Yeah, so she appeared in 2 games, if I recall correctly. She pitched 16 innings total and gave up 0 earned runs, including one of those games. I forget which one it was. I want to say it was the Georgia Southern 1-0 game. So a low scoring affair. She threw 63 pitches for the 7-inning complete game shutout. She only needed 63 pitches. So quite an accomplishment. Definitely earned that Pitcher of the Week title. So big congratulations to Erica.
WKU baseball finished just outside the 11.7 mid-major rankings.
Yeah, last year we were kind of a mainstay. We were middle of the pack. I think we got up towards the top 10 as the season progressed on that mid-major ranking of the top 25. Not on it in the preseason as the season's about to start, like we just said. But I think with the roster turnover we had, we lost a lot of talent to the transfer portal. A lot of guys moved on and went to other places, bigger programs, or what have you. But I have a feeling that we're going to reload just fine. I trust in Coach Rardon, Coach Neffendorf, Coach Fournier to bring in talent to Western Kentucky, especially coming off that season. And then 11.7 did publish a list of the teams that just missed a cut of the top 25. As I was having that discussion on Twitter with some people, like, man, we could be right off this list. We just don't know. I understand why we're not top 25. And sure enough, we were the number 3 team left off the top 25. So that's a lot of respect for a team and a roster that turned over a lot of players. So, now we've got to prove it. We start playing baseball this Friday. We have a doubleheader with BYU, and we've got to go win some ball games. We want to get back in that top 25 and that recognition, and we've got to win our way back onto that list. So we can get there. I have faith.
And now we're going to wrap it up with some Pro Tops news. Jax Stern signed with the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, definitely big congratulations to Jareth. Obviously had an amazing college career, not only at Houston Baptist, but then came here in 2021 and just had a record-breaking season. Had a great season, 1,900 receiving yards, if I recall correctly, 150-ish receptions, just really good season. I'm really shocked he never got a chance in the NFL. I know he's on the smaller side, but man, the production doesn't lie. That boy can play. He'll catch the ball, and really glad that he's getting an opportunity to still continue to, play that dream. Playing professional football, no matter where it is, UFL, CFL, NFL, indoor football league, no matter what it is, he's collecting a paycheck to play football. So big congratulations to Jared Stearns.
I still like it whenever he scored on a dude and he's like, I'm short, he tiny. That to me, that was awesome. But that concludes this week's episode of the Red Tower Wrap Up, Moff. I'm gonna hand off back to you, man.
Yeah, we're gonna jump into this MTSU, this 100 Miles of Hate Part 2 game preview that is brought to you by Roof Girl. And if you have a leaky roof or shingles detached, faded, or just plain blah, don't call any roofing company. Call Paula with Roof Girl. Locally owned and operated with over 6 years of experience and a proud WKU alumna. She'll work with your insurance company. Give Roof Girl a call today at 270-392-4768 to set up a free inspection and quote. See her work by following Roof Girl on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, you're not just calling any roofing company. You're calling Paula, a person who cares for your roof. And a good roof is a roof you can forget about. Call or text Roof Girl at 270-392-4768 to get started today. And now we jump into the MTSU preview, where WKU enters this week's games with a record of 13-11 overall, and they are sitting at 6-7 in Conference USA play after losing to Jacksonville State, which we just talked about last week, and then beating FIU this past Saturday. WKU is on a 1-week break. We don't have a midweek game, a Wednesday or Thursday night game. And we host MTSU at 7 p.m. on Saturday, 2/14, which is Valentine's Day, which is a doubleheader with the ladies' game. The ladies play before us, and the men will play that night. The game is a readout, and the game will be on ESPN Plus. So make sure you let your significant other know if you're in town. Go to dinner early. Come to the games at Diddle Arena. Hopefully, it'll be a little romance in the air, some W's in the air, and some 100 miles of hate victories for the toppers. Tyler, what are your thoughts on WKU and this home stand and just kind of where we stand so far in the season?
I mean, it's kind of ironic that we're playing 100 miles of hate on the day dedicated to love, right? But no, I think this game, the last one, it was a come from behind kind of, we were down, we ended up winning by 5. I'm hoping since we're playing at home and the teams, they're in a rut right now. They've been losing. We have been kind of a mixed bag, but I like that we're coming off such a hard a hard fought two game span right there a week ago. But I would like to think that the team comes out with some fire and we just absolutely just drop the hammer on MTSU this game.
Well, looking at MTSU, they enter this week with a record of 11 wins and 12 losses, including being 5-7 in Conference USA play, and they have lost 5 consecutive Conference USA games. So they started off 5-2, looked like one of the better, one of the hotter teams in Conference USA, but now 5 consecutive losses, including most recently last week they lost to FIU and Delaware, which thought they were probably one of the worst teams in conference, and they go and lose to them. So, yikes, they're going through it right now. Obviously, we know that WKU and MTSU played just 2 Saturdays ago on January 31st in Murfreesboro, with WKU winning that game 65-60. The ESPN matchup predictor gives WKU a 65.5% chance of victory. As of this recording, there's no betting line on the game. I'm giving it, 6.5 ish. If I was a betting man, which every once in a while I'll throw a couple coins on it, but give me about 6.5, low over under, one in the 130s ish. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to the rematch. Another game that I can't make, thanks to volleyball. We will be out of town with another volleyball tournament. It's just that time of year, traveling. Seems like every weekend we're going somewhere. So I won't get to go to this game. Hopefully, Tyler, hopefully you'll get to make the game, even though it's a holiday. It's a holiday, quote unquote, flowers and candy for the lady. And then hopefully she'll let you come to Diddle, or hopefully she'll come with you. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on the WKU and MTSU matchup coming up this Saturday?
Well, Coach McDevitt, he's obviously, I don't know, probably panicking right now. Every time I see him, I just dislike him more. His little antics there on the sideline, his little dancing, throwing the balls, around the court. But I mean, this game, I think will be a good one. I think MTSU is a little bit desperate right now. I think they're 7.5 games out of first place. We're 7. So it's kind of there, and they're on a downward hill, like I said earlier. So I think it's going to be them being desperate. So I think Western's going to have to, we're going to watch ourselves, because I'm sure they've heard what happened during the Jax State game, or they seen tape about it. I wouldn't surprise me if they try to do something dirty, try to get some players in trouble, try to get us in foul trouble earlier on, or at least getting the bonus. So I think the tops are definitely going to have to be smart, definitely going to have to be careful, and definitely going to have to be hitting our shots. We've seen in the games where we have been shooting terrible. That's the games that we always lose. So what we need to make smart shots. We need to take smart shots. We need to make them shots. And I would probably say work from outside in. Like I think that could work for us.
Yeah, you talked about MTSU. You talked about Nick McDevitt. And man, I've never seen a coach on the sideline who complains and cries as much as he does. Man, he's always on one. And there's some pretty animated coaches in Conference USA. We just talked about Ray Harper, oh Red Nose, but McDevitt's always on another level. But it's been really interesting to watch the MTSU fans online. They're just in complete meltdown mode at this point. Losing 5 in a row, just watching a potentially hopeful season that started out pretty strong is now looking like, well, it's just going to be another year at this point. But that's just kind of what they're used to. That's why their name's Middle Tennessee. And also forgot to mention another factor that plays in our favor is that they do have a midweek game. They've only played 12 conference games so far. We played 13. I think we're one of 4 teams that are have played 13 conference games so far. So that's why we have a week off. A lot of our teams are going to be catching up to us, where we'll all kind of be at the 14 game mark at the end of this week. But they play Kennesaw State on Thursday on the road, so they're going to have to make that trip from down near Atlanta, Georgia, up to us after a late Thursday night game, and have that quick turnaround to a Saturday night game. So the travel, not having as fresh of legs, that will also surely be to our advantage. So, I think I like our odds. And let's jump into the players we need to know, the leading scorers, rebounders, etc. for both teams. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, as usual, I do have that graphic pulled up on the screen. You can see the WKU side. Now we can talk about the WKU side because it's hopeful that Tegan Moore will be back and in action by this Saturday. If you listen to Coach Hank Plona's media availability on Monday, that's posted to WKU Sports, their YouTube channel, and on Twitter as well, he did say he has passed some protocols where he can return to practice. He just has to be cleared for contact, and then hopefully he will be cleared to play in the game on Saturday. He is our leading scorer. He is our leading assist man, our Melo Boone, our leading rebounder. And then looking at the Middle Tennessee side, some familiar names. We did just play them a couple weeks ago. Kamari Lands, their leading scorer, 13.8 points per game. He did have 25 points in our matchup just a couple weeks ago, so he's definitely one to be aware of. He likes to, he can score. If you let him score, he can score. But hopefully, it's just a one-man show if anybody's going to beat you. And then Torrey Austin, their leading rebounder, man, he's a high flyer. He's got that Josh Anderson kind of athleticism to him. Or Melo Boone, you could say that, because he gets up on rebounds just like he does. 7.8 rebounds per game. And then their leading assist man is guard Javin Carter, averaging 3.9 assists per game. So, yeah, hopefully a good matchup. Obviously, players and teams that know each other very well. And if you remember the game just a couple Saturdays ago, that was, in my opinion, the Cade Unseld coming out party. 17 points in that game, 5 of 12 from 3. And then we also held MTSU to 4 of 19 from 3 that game. And they are a team that likes to shoot the threes. And if they get hot and they start making them, man, it can be easy. It can pile on to you real quick. And then looking at the team stats and how we compare just side by side, if this matchup was played on paper, WKU does average a few more points per game, but we're also giving up a few more points on the defensive side, 74 points per game to 72 for them. They shoot better than us from the field. How we're winning games, shooting 38, 39% from the field, I think really just tells you how well we do a lot of other things. We rebound the ball well. We don't turn the ball over a lot. But we're just not a good shooting team. So they shoot better than us. That's not a surprise. We rebound better than them. We're at almost 41 a game. They're at 37. Assists per game, they're a little higher than us. But when you shoot 39% for a game, that's not really a surprise. Blocks per game, they average more than steals per game. We average more. So, a lot of similarities on paper, a lot of similarities even in the records of these teams. But, this is one of those games where, even if we were undefeated and they hadn't won a game all season, I wouldn't come into this game going, this is an easy win for us. This is one of those rivalry games, 2 teams, 2 programs, and players and coaches that just don't like each other. And you can usually tell it when they play. It's physical, it's aggressive, it gets a little chippy, and anything can happen. We saw what happened last time, 65-60, a low scoring, kind of ugly game. We got down 10 early, and then we just took care of business from there. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts on this matchup and these 2 teams and just, what it might look like on Saturday night?
Well, it's funny that on here we actually we seasonally we out rebound MTSU, but in our game a few weeks ago, they had 42 rebounds, we had 37. So, um, I mean, it's going to be a good game, kind of like what you said. It is a rivalry game, so throw all the paperwork out the window. Um, I don't know how Hank feels about McDevitt. I'm sure he's probably not the biggest fan of him. But I feel like this is going to be a good game. I'm really excited. I've asked my wife. I mentioned, hey, it's a double header. Girls play at 2, boys play at 7. Let's head on down to BG, and I'm pretty sure we're going to make that drive. Take Reed with us, so it'll be his first 100 miles of hate experience. So. But I think our players had to come out hungry. Players had to know since they are only taking 10 teams on the boys' side, it's better to be a little bit higher than lower. And I feel like we're going to have to withstand a lot of we're going to have to not be bogged down. We can't hang our heads because no one's going to feel sorry for us. I hope Tegan's back. I hope he passes all them protocols. But him having like 3 weeks off, how rusty is he going to be? Because playing basketball, if you're not staying in shape, it's easy to get out of it. So, and I'm sure he probably has having to take it easy. Will he be a step slow? Probably. Will he had to kind of had to catch up? I would probably say so. So we're gonna have to depend on other players to come in and maybe step up. With Blaze Cater getting a lot of rebounds here lately, really, really being good at scoring in the post, he's gonna have to be dominant. We're gonna need Grant and Armello, LJ, Cade. If he's in, he's gonna have to put on a repeat performance. If you ask me, it's gonna be a whole team kind of chipping in on this, and that's the way it should be. But I feel like this game hopefully is a little bit higher scoring. That's a little foreshadowing for my score prediction. But I feel like this is going to be a hard game for MTSU play because, as you said, they play a Thursday game and they're playing on the road. It's always hard to win on the road. So hopefully McDevitt leaves in tears again after this game.
I say, and then hopefully they sign him to a lifetime extension contract. Like they just love letting coaches coach forever, even though they're middle of the pack or worse. 6-6 Rick, McDevitt now in his sixth, seventh year. So it should be fun. I think, and that segues us nicely into our keys to victory. We'll do our 3. We'll trade off on those. So Tyler, what do you have as your first key to victory versus MTSU?
I'm gonna say defend the pick and roll. That has been a Achilles heel of ours in multiple games this season. You've seen it over and over again. Just a center come up, set the screen, easy pick, easy dunk, easy layup. So we're definitely going to defend that a whole lot better.
My first one is going to be let cooler heads prevail. We saw the chippiness in Jacksonville State. We can't afford, we were already missing Teague in that game, and then all of a sudden we were without Terrion, we were without Armello, we were without Grant. It was just chippy. It was physical. People got under your skin, coach, players, etc. We need everyone on the court and available on the bench as possible. Hopefully Teagan's back, like you said. And this game is going to be physical. It's going to be a rivalry game. I expect it's going to be a close game. Not going to foreshadow my score prediction just yet, but I don't expect a blowout victory, even if they're terrible and we're great. But right now, we're both 2 middle of the pack teams. So I think it's going to be a dogfight. Every point is going to matter kind of game. So let cooler heads prevail. Let everyone finish this game. No foul outs and no ejections. What's your second key to victory for MTSU?
Kind of a nuanced answer, but forced turnovers. In our game earlier this year, we only had 8 turnovers, but they had 12. We had 14 assists. They only had 12. So I'd really like for us to get them to make an errant pass, Armello Boone or Newell or someone poke the ball away. They run with it, easy layup, easy dunk, just easy points in general. But we need to force turnovers and get the ball in our hand as much as possible.
Yeah, my second key to victory is going to be play from the inside out. And I say that for a couple reasons. One, because you alluded and talked about Blaze Cada earlier, just playing well, offensive rebounds, even dumping the ball down to him in the post. And he's got some decent footwork and can get the ball up and make a good move and score. Coach Hank also alluded to Noah Boyd possibly coming back. He could see minutes in this game. And then we've talked numerous times about Tegan Moore, hopefully, and maybe even likely coming back. Those are some guys that can score in the paint. And when you can drive to the lane, you can force the defense to collapse on you. That opens up opportunities for kickouts to shooters, to Cam Hafner. We saw what he did versus FIU. Cade Unsold, we saw what he can do. Grant Newell's been hot for a couple games. Ryan Myers can get hot at any time. So, and I think life is a lot easier in that regard, shooting the three when you have that, kick out from the paint. So hopefully we continue that aggressiveness and do that and just, increase our chances of making those buckets. So, Tyler, what's your third key to victory for MTSU?
Play with the chip on your shoulder. It's getting down there. It's not at the complete end of conference play, but it's getting kind of close. And we are middle of the pack, 7 games behind. And I would like to see us kind of get up in the standings just a little bit more before we go into conference tournament. So come out, play hard, play with passion, play with a chip on your shoulder, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go for my third key to victory. I'm going to revisit your second one. And I think we've been a really good team at taking care of the ball, but we have seen a couple games where we've just been sloppy. And I think back to the Sam Houston game a couple weeks ago. We had, 11, 12 turnovers in the first half, which is more than we average for a game for the season. So in a rivalry game and what could be a tight knit, down to the wire game that comes down to a possession or two, you have to value the ball and take care of the ball and have good possession. So we have to limit our turnovers, take care of the ball, try to be efficient with the basketball when we have it. Tyler, who have you got for your MVT, your most valuable topper versus Middle Tennessee?
This is another hard one. I don't know if Cade can have another big game like he did against MTSU down there. I would really hope he does. But I'm going to go with Grant Newell in this one. Being 6'9", he can shoot the three. He can play down low. He should be a defender's worst nightmare. And he can also rebound the ball. So I'm going to go Grant Newell in this one.
Man, this one's tough. I'm kind of hedging myself because I really am excited to see Tegan back. Even though it's going to be a little bit of a rusty Tegan, it might be a little bit of a Tegan that's a little bit out of basketball shape because he's not been able to practice and cleared for contact, etc. But I still think Tegan's a monster, and I think he's coming back. We're playing a rival. He's going to want to reassert himself. I don't know if he's going to be in any type of minutes restrictions or any of that other stuff, but I think when he's on the court, he's going to be a guy that needs to be aggressive and can and will be aggressive. So give me Tegan Moore, even though we haven't seen him since the Liberty game, but I think he's going to come back and make an impact in this ball game. All right, Tyler, what do you got for a score prediction? What you got and who is winning?
All right, so I originally, because I'm not like you, I don't go off the top of my head. I write my stuff down. And I originally was going to say 80-69. I thought it was going to be a high scoring game on us. I may knock that down to 78-69. Little nice action on V-Day. Saying Tops win on that one.
Yeah, I'm higher scoring than last time, but I'm still on the lower end of where these teams, score on average. Just because I think it's just going to be a grind out type of game. We're a team that doesn't shoot the ball well. They're a team that's lost 5 games in a row and isn't shooting the ball all that great, or obviously they wouldn't be losing ball games. So give me a Hilltopper victory. Hopefully it's a buy one get one free victory. Hopefully the ladies pull it off in the early afternoon, and hopefully the men do it in the evening. But give me the the Hilltoppers winning 72-68. Just almost nice, not quite nice for MTSU, but send them back to Murfreesboro 0-2 against us on the season. 6-game losing streak. You hate to see it. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people, but man, really looking forward to watching this game, even though, like I mentioned earlier, I won't be able to get to go to it. I should be able to break free. I should be free from volleyball commitments by that point of the day and should be able to watch the entirety of the game. So looking forward to that. It is a red out, like I mentioned earlier. Hopefully, if you're in Bowling Green and you can make the game, I'm a little old fashioned. I think every game should be a red out. Even though blackouts and whiteouts, etc., are fun. I'm probably going to be wearing red at a game myself if I'm there. But make sure you show up. Make sure you're loud. Make sure you wear red. Boo the blue team. We enjoy beating them in every sport. When I was looking at women's standings earlier, I thought it was. I know it's nice to see them not dominating the women's side this year, like they just have the last several years. They're 7-4, I think, in conference play on the women's side, 12-11 overall. So Rick Insel's probably about to retire over there and hand it off to his son. So again, couldn't happen to a greater group of guys. Even though I do have a couple friends over there, always looking forward to our rivalry games in any and every sport. Looking forward to hopefully continuing to own them in every single sport. And hopefully let's get this victory, man. Looking forward to it. I hope a good crowd shows up and supports this team. We're in the stretch run. We're coming up about a month away from the Huntsville conference tournament. So let's show up. Let's wear red. Let's be loud, man. Tyler, hit us with your final words and take us on out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope everyone that's able to please come out to Diddle. It's been a while since Diddle's been close to packed or packed out. I'd really like to get that Diddle magic going again because that place really is magical, or it really is awesome whenever the fans get in there, get behind the team, start yelling, uh, and just being rowdy. For the boys and the girls will really appreciate it. They're going through a rough stretch right now. These girls need all the support and all the help and all the fans they can get. But I know this is a Western based podcast, but have you seen the scores from tonight in Conference USA? Liberty just about lost. They only won by 2 to New Mexico State, which is second bottom of the conference settings right now. And then UTEP just beat Jax State over Red Nose Ray 69 nice to 64. So it just been nice if Western could have got that one against Jax State. But maybe if we see them in conference championship, or conference tournament, we'll be able to put them away then. But it is crazy that spring ball is starting in less than a month. That's crazy, or spring practice. But man, the years really do fly by. But with that, please come out. Let's beat the blue team. MTSU, piss off, go screw yourself. Broke team down there. Can't stand you. Hope the worst for you. Hope you stub your toe every morning. You wake up and get dressed. But with that, Moff, who has it better than us, man?
Nobody, buddy. You know it.
Y'all go Tops.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See y'all.